I'm Mike Oz. You're listening to the 1 Degree Podcast.
That was pretty smooth. You can tell that he had a radio show.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Show for a long time. All right, we're
You got a
switching it up.
face for radio.
Face for
Hey,
radio.
hey.
All right, we're switching it up on you guys a little bit here. We have non-athlete, but still very important, one of the best guests we've ever had. We got Mike Oz in the building. He's the mastermind behind Fresno Street Eats and all those other big-time events like Taco Truck Throwdown, Frez Yes, all the biggest events that go down in the Central Valley. This man is behind them. Worked at Yahoo, had his own baseball card show, talked to all the best players in the MLB about their baseball cards, and also had his own radio show called Osmosis that ran for 9 years?
10 or 11.
10 or 11 years. I'm shorting him a couple. This man knows sports. This man knows food. He is actually becoming one of my good friends in the last couple of years. So yeah, Mike, I appreciate you coming in.
I've only known you less than a year, but that was good for the other year before that.
Yeah, that is true.
I've like known Mike from afar for a while now.
Kenny and I, we even when you were opening Mayweather,
Yeah.
when we started talking, yeah.
Yeah, because I would always use like the Fresno Street Eats like pop-ups as like where I can go put my tent. and
He still
stuff.
owes me some letters. For
I
that.
do,
So,
and I
haven't
He owes-
forgotten.
Yeah,
He owes people a lot
I
of
haven't
stuff.
forgotten.
Yeah, but it's okay. He's a busy
This doesn't
man now.
cancel that out either.
that's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. You can have letters whenever you want,
Oh, that's recorded. That is a.
but once.
Oh.
Just get as many letters as you can. And
Give me the whole alphabet.
Fresno Street Eats. Hey, that's a pretty penny
Give me
right
the
there.
whole
Pretty
alphabet.
penny right
whole
there.
thing.
So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a lot of good stuff: baseball cards, Fresno Street Eats, Yahoo, the show, all that good stuff. But let's go first into sports,
Yeah.
because we do talk about sports. You have two kids that are athletes playing sports.
Yep.
Getting them into the boxing gym, all that good stuff. So when you were growing up, how does sports impact you? And then what's like the impact that you are kind of not putting on your kids, but that
Yeah.
you want them to, kind of play sports and learn all that stuff that, sports provides?
Yeah, well, so I grew up, I was early memories, right? 6 years old when Jose Canseco came into the big leagues. Grew up 20 minutes from Oakland, so it was really hard not to fall in love with the A's and just fall in love with baseball at that time. So very much into baseball since I was 6 years old. Came from a family of people who were really into baseball, so that was a big part of my childhood, going to A's games and just kind of being around that. I want to say in sixth grade is when I was I want to be a sports writer. I want to write about baseball, and that was sort of since then that was what I wanted to do with my life, which we can get into some of that. But being around that stuff and sort of being around baseball, I think was a big part of my childhood, and just sort of what the friends I had, and it was all that. And I guess now I kind of want the same thing for my kids, right? I want them to I think learn a lot of stuff you get from sports that isn't just the achievements, but the hard work and the camaraderie and sort of seeing, to try something and then get better at it and see the reward in that. And then knowing the moments when my kid hit his first home run last year, and then being hey man, you're gonna remember this for the rest of your life. Whether you play baseball, however long, you're always remember this. So, just seeing those moments and being around them, and I think helping them get better at the things that they want to do, whether it's sports or not. Yeah, I just think that's part of being a good dad. But I think you learn that in sports, because in sports you see the result of I'm going to go out and I'm going to work on this thing, and then you see the immediate success in that. So I've always felt like sports was a good, training ground for that kind of stuff.
And the failures too, right?
Exactly.
You learn the failures and the success, which I think is probably more important than having the success is learning how to fail the correct way and how to react when you fail. And that's what I want to teach my kids through sports is it's okay to fail, but it's how you react when you do fail.
Oh yeah. We've obviously had those moments too, but one of the ones I'm most proud of is, you guys know my son, Jake. First year he played football, had never had any interest in football, right? He just sort of other kids want to play football, so he's like, I'm gonna play football. And he was in 5th grade. He didn't play very much in that first year. By the end of the season, though, they brought him up on like the varsity team because there's a JV team and a varsity team. And like the last game of the season, they're like, you're starting today. You're starting receiver, and like he had never done any of it. And it was an intense game, and he lost. Like they last play of the game, they kick an onside kick to him, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And he caught the ball, and some kid just ran up and took it from him. And like he didn't know, right? He's just like, what? And like the most proud I had though was the next year, like they played that same team, and he went out and they got a sack, and he was just so excited, like making up for, seeing that thing of like I progressed this far, I came back and got my revenge on that team, and and like hell yeah, man, do that. So it's cool to see those things, especially through kids' eyes. You don't really see it, when you're like a kid yourself sometimes.
Yeah. Now, do you kind of? I know you don't push the sports on your kids, but do you want them to play every sport possible, or do you want them to kind of find what they're good at? And
my luckily both of them just want to play all kinds of different stuff. So a lot of stuff that I would never. I mean, when I grew up, I don't feel like we had access to water polo and all these other sports that I feel like my kids play. Like we didn't have
those aren't real sports. Baseball, basketball, football.
Those are the sports we had when I was a kid, right?
Golf. We'll put golf in there. Other than that, if you're playing other sports, soccer, they get paid a lot of money.
Well, I didn't grow up here, so it's a little bit different. But like out here, every kid plays soccer. I feel like it's like
it's the easiest sport to get kids in. Like they play bunch ball. I guess I got signed up to coach my daughter's soccer in the fall.
I'm coaching T-ball on Friday.
How they got me in is they told me, oh, yeah, you're going to coach. And I was like, to hell I ain't coaching. He's like, yeah, but you get that parking spot in the front, and you can show up 5 minutes before the game, and you have your parking spot because parking is crazy at those games. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I could show up and park in my own spot.
I remember being in 4th grade, though, and I knew like 2 kids that played soccer. Now it's like every kid plays soccer.
Yeah, nobody plays soccer.
And but there's a lot of opportunities. I mean, I guess that's one thing that's interesting about like, modern parenting, right? There's so many different places for your kids to play things and camps and
especially here in the Central Valley, and it's
crazy.
Super competitive.
Yeah.
Like I think it gets a little bit over the top. I think it's always changing, but even like Little League Baseball, when there's just thousands of kids trying out and coaches, and it can be a little bit much.
Yeah, man. Clovis, especially in Clovis, I think is kind of wild. Some of these
Clovis is wild.
Oh yeah, it's super competitive. But
you got athletes.
But again, like
athletes.
you're gonna try to get better and sort of, go for it, or you're just gonna like not. And luckily, my kids, I think, try to go for it.
Yeah. Sports is huge. So you enjoyed sports growing up, but since you were 6 years old, you said that you always wanted to be a sports writer. Was that just because
6th grade?
6th grade.
6th grade, yeah.
6th grade, you wanted to be a sports writer. That's just because you love sports, like playing them and being involved in them, or you just love like watching them on TV and just kind of live like the journalism aspect?
I think I liked all of it. Like I liked I was one of those kids who, I think at that point, like I had a subscription to Sports Illustrated, and I would read Sports Illustrated, every week, and watch ESPN and collect cards and all that kind of stuff. And then I loved, obviously playing sports. And so it was, when I got into journalism, that was sort of what I wanted to do. Like as a journalist, I never wanted to do the like serious journalism. Like I don't think ever in my life have I ever been like, I want to go cover a city council meeting, or that kind of stuff. Like it's always, when I was working at the Bee, I was covering music and entertainment. And then, at Yahoo, I was covering baseball. So I've always wanted to kind of be involved in fun things. But I remember like, honestly, in 6th grade, 7th grade too, like I got on the school paper in 7th grade because they were like, yeah, you don't have to be in class all the time. You can like walk around and do stuff. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. And so that's kind of how I got involved in actual journalism stuff. And, once I did that, I wanted to cover sports and stuff like that.
Did you try to get out of class too, Kenny?
No, I was a straight A student. I never skipped school, never missed an assignment, never.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, so how come you can't read?
I went to Elk Grove High School. Yeah. No.
That's where you got to Elk Grove to play sports, right?
Yes.
So you're not from the Central Valley, right, Mike? You moved?
No, I'm from Fremont, which is in the Bay Area, kind of next to between Oakland and San Jose, kind of.
Mm-hmm. When'd you come to Central Valley, and what brought you here?
I came here to work for the Fresno Bee. So they hired me from after I graduated college. I actually interned at the Bee between my sophomore junior years, and then when I got done, they wanted to hire me. But at that point, all I'd ever done was sports. So I'd been an intern in the sports department at the Bee, and they're like, "We don't have a sports job, but we want to hire you." So they like, "You want to cover music?" And I was like, "Sure." Mainly because it was at that point, like the Fresno Bee was a really good newspaper, and starting there fresh out of college was pretty good. I mean, I guess in to use baseball terms, it's like you get drafted and you start in Double A, right? Instead of being in rookie ball or something. So I was like, yeah, I'll whatever you want me to do, I'll come work there. And so I did, and I did music. I was a columnist at 22 years old, which is also pretty rare. And I was just kind of doing my thing, and I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go back to sports because I really liked what I was doing and sort of that style of stuff. And eventually I did, but yeah.
Is this when you were getting the letters from like the 85-year-old women and
Yes.
asking them
Yes.
what to buy their grandsons?
I had a whole fan base of grandmas and
So what were you
Mike
writing
Ozz's
about?
Golden Girls.
yeah, no, for real.
22-year-old just getting the
For real.
cougars.
We'd write about just stuff. I would write about stuff going on in town as my beat, right? So I'd write about music and events and stuff like that. So that kind of I think informed the stuff I went on to do in that regard. But then I also wrote a column, right? So as a columnist, you can kind of write about whatever you want.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I would write about stuff in my own life, or I'd write about just other slice of life kind of stuff. And I tried to make it more relatable to people that read the newspaper. Again, like I wasn't a super serious journalist, so I wanted it to be entertaining or interesting. And so a lot of people I think just related to me as I looked like a little kid still. I was, 23, 24 years old. And they just, oh, you remind me of my grandson. You remind me of this and that. And so, yeah, I had one lady who wrote me like every couple weeks and just, all the time.
He had a following.
They're trying to get at you, Mike.
I mean, they were like 80-year-old women, dude.
Okay. They need love too, Mike.
But yeah,
So
in those days, that was the reach of the Fresno Bee.
So how long did you do that until you started going sports?
I was at the Bee for like 11 years.
And that was all. That was not sports. That was all.
That was not
you
sports.
just had your column.
Yeah, and a column. We kind of went into the internet at that point, right? So this is when I started the Bee was very much like there's not really an internet or like publishing on the web.
Yeah, like people were still actually reading the newspaper, getting news from the newspaper.
Yeah, I'm
like
that old.
There was no podcasting and
So we were like, hey, let's make a blog. So we made a blog. I ended up doing a lot of that stuff. So I was one of the early like bloggers and Twitter and social media and all that kind of stuff. Like I actually got in trouble at the Fresno Bee for posting links to my stories on my MySpace account. And they're like, no, if you do that, people won't read the paper.
yeah.
And I got in a lot of trouble for that. It was actually kind of funny in retrospect. So I was that era of journalism. Now they're like,
He
we'll
was
put the
using
stuff all over
MySpace.
Facebook, and yeah,
Well,
so.
now they're actually going to social media to
yeah.
get the information, and the ads are being pushed there.
For sure.
That was one thing I was going to ask you too, because you started journalism when it was just a paper. You had to watch the news to get information. Now with the internet, everybody can get their information from social media, even like TikTok. They have news updates. Kind of the newspaper writing, the journalism's kind of like switched to podcasting and like online. Like you still have ESPN and that stuff, but there's so many different platforms. And now with streaming, you can watch anybody's show at like any time. So how have you seen, starting from the beginning, writing a paper, getting your 80-year-old fan clubs writing you in to now to where you can get any information at your fingertips? Because when you're writing it, people had to go and read your column to get information or look at the stats from the day before to see who won the game. Now it's just instant. Everybody.
Well, a lot of
has it.
times, in sports, you already know what happened before. You're not looking at the newspaper the next day. You're getting a push alert.
Exactly.
As soon as the team you like scores a run, or your fantasy player does this. So like a lot of that information, I think, just fell by the wayside, and it became more about the storytelling of like what happens when you put a reporter in a locker room and go out and find a story and tell me something that you're not going to see in a highlight. That's sort of where I think sports journalism went, right? Telling, making connections with athletes and sort of telling their stories. And, that's what I think the great journalists of today do. But then it also just switched off into who knows everything first, right? So you have people who, your newsbreakers, they probably don't ever, like Woj. I don't think Woj writes very many stories for ESPN.
No, he's just
tweets.
breaking news.
He's
right?
breaking news, goes on TV, and his job is to get the information first. And I mean, that was always a part of journalism, but that obviously became like a big deal in the last.
Yeah, because everybody has the basic
5 or 6
information.
years.
Everybody knows
They know who won the
but
game,
nobody
yeah.
knows like that this guy has a broken ankle and he hurt it. Like skateboarding. You're going to those guys to get that.
Or the trade or whatever. You're getting that from an agent or,
Yeah, so
something.
you have to have had those.
You have to get those connections.
Yeah, you have to have those connections.
So that's a whole different, that's almost a whole different job, right? That's an entirely different thing than.
And very specific too. Like not everybody can do that.
No, in the NFL, there's what, four or five guys maybe.
Yeah.
It's Schefter and then it's everybody else.
Yeah.
In basketball, it's Woj and Shams and everybody else. In baseball, it's Passan and Rosenthal and everybody else. So that's a much different job than what I was doing. But that's so I think to answer your original question, I think everything became so split up and commodified and into different things. And some people want a podcast, right? And some people want a push alert because I'm not going to invest 45 minutes. I'm going to invest 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But you kind of got to have a product for every attention span. And I think as journalism went on in that way, it wasn't even just you were competing against, other outlets. You were competing against everything. Like, am I going to listen to this podcast or am I going to watch a TV show I like? Am I going to listen to, a game on the radio or am I going to play Candy Crush or whatever it is, right? I think that information became just another sort of thing that's vying for your attention. And it made that whole world, I think, much more difficult, right? Instead of, I grew up in the era where, you read the newspaper in the morning and that's where you see the box scores of the baseball games, and it's not like that anymore.
I know. I remember I used to always look at the box scores during baseball season, and I would look because I was a Yankees fan. Well, I wasn't really a Yankees fan. I was a Jeter fan. I was a Clemens fan. I was a Mariano Rivera fan. Like I loved their players, so I would always go and look, see if the Yankees were first place in the AL, and then I would look at Jeter's stats. I would see if like he got any hits. I would look who pitched, and that was like the only thing I didn't read the paper. I just went and looked at my favorite players and what they did, because baseball was every day. So you got to see, did he get a hit? Did he get a home run? What's his batting average? 340. Wow, that's like so cool. And
now you set a push alert for a certain player, or Google alert for.
Well, now I don't even think you really care as much, because even like the stats in baseball have changed to where like somebody's batting average isn't even that important. Now it's more OPS, like slugging percentage. Like it's changed, and you don't care to know somebody's batting average. You probably like are looking for something else because your mind's not even thinking. It has too many other things to think about.
But if you want to know every single thing about Derek Jeter, you just press a couple buttons and somebody somewhere will send you every possible thing about
although
Jeter.
Jeter's probably one of the guys that's hard to figure out everything about him because he's pretty mysterious. There's other guys that a lot about.
Do you think the quality of journalism has dropped because of the amount of avenues that people can push stories to, and like I feel like the speed is more important than the quality right now?
I would say I don't think there's less quality journalism. I think there's a lower batting average in the sense that there's a lot more stuff out there. So there's still really good stuff, but there's so much other crap that,
because back in when you started, you had to like really think about like, you're like, okay, I have a story that I need to post or come out with tomorrow, right? So I'm going to write a column and put it in the newspaper, but that comes out tomorrow. So I have a whole day to think about it, where it's like you can really think about what you're putting down on paper and maybe draft a few times. But now it's like, I got to get this out. Tweet.
Yeah, no, you got to.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I got to be the first one out to break this story or make this story or whatever it is. So I feel like that would even dumb down the quality of journalism just because of people wanting to be out first or whatever, because it's so fast and not everyone's on the same timeline now.
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but the other thing of what we were talking about earlier with sports is like it's so competitive that you also see that the top people are so much better because they're being driven. It's almost like the top 3 people are just trying to outdo each other, right?
Yeah.
So it's Jordan Bulls, Magic, Lakers, and it's like those. Hey, these are the best 4 people, and they're just driving each other to the next level.
I think there's more to cover too now.
Yeah,
like more sports, more players, more things that happen in the game that people are interested. Because like you said, there's so much more available for people to look at now. People's brains are going everywhere, and then also like sports betting now.
Yeah.
Like people are betting on sports, and now they're even betting random stuff, not even like the over or under, but it's like if, so and so gets over, 3 or 4 assists. Like there's so much more things that your brain can be attracted to versus just like sitting back and giving what the journalist is giving to you.
Mhm.
So many people are going and seeking information, and if they can't find it, then they'll go online or
Go to the
whatever.
next thing.
But there's also
Yeah.
so many people that I think have expanded to get back to I think what Kenny was saying. There's so many people who have in the pool of what is considered journalism now, right? Where people that just used to be fans
I see
now
what you're
they're
saying.
like, oh,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm a journalist because I have a blog or whatever.
Have a podcast or whatever. Yeah.
and they all sort of get clumped into like, oh, that's the media, right? And it's like, well, no, like there's definitely a difference. Not to say those people aren't valuable, because I think they're valuable. There's a lot of valuable like
But the true
fan
professionals,
voices, yeah.
yeah.
But it's when you lump it all into like, oh, that's all just journalism, and it's like, well, some of those people do legitimate journalism, and some of them are like, hey, I live in Cincinnati, and my cousin who works here saw so and so, and he must be signing with the Reds, right? And it's
Yeah.
like that's not the same thing.
There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of speculation that
Yeah.
goes on nowadays, and then so you need those true professionals that you go to, that that when they say something is true,
Yeah.
because there's so much stuff out there. Well, I mean, I don't know. Everything that's put on the internet is true, right? So we have to trust it.
There's an entire market of stuff that's fake, right? Like you should just be the Onion that was the one fake thing, but now you have all these
Yeah, everything.
Instagram and Twitter accounts, people that are just trying to bait you into fake things, and so it's all just a competition for your attention.
Yeah.
Like what are you going to pay attention to, and are you going to pay attention to legitimate things? Or are you going to pay attention to dumb things that make
Yeah.
you laugh, or
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that's
Or
all
what are
it
you
is.
interested in?
Yeah.
Right, too. So you go Fresno B, Yahoo. You left and you stopped covering old ladies, and then you started
Yeah.
covering baseball, and baseball specifically. You did
Baseball
like
specifically,
you said
yeah.
that you did some Olympics one year. You did like
They would send me to they would put me on other things sometimes in the off.
but you were on baseball
baseball.
mostly, and you
Yes.
covered baseball, and then you started your baseball card show, and you would
Yeah.
kind of
So
like
well, it
interview
was
it.
just
How
one
did
of the things
happen?
that we did. So like, much like this, right? I mean, you guys have a show, you have your little segments, and we would do the blog stuff, and and that time I'm always looking for like fun things to do baseball wise. So they're like, hey, we want you to go to spring training. Okay, so let me back up. So like Jeff Hassan, who is like he's the main MLB guy at ESPN, right? And so like, Jeff, we want you to go and do this spring training video, and Jeff's just like, no, I don't want to
Yeah.
go do a bunch of videos of spring training. That's no fun. And they're like, Mike, will you do it? And I said yes. But I told them too, I wasn't going to do like a, hey Tyson, what do you think your odds are this season, or I had no interest in doing
Yeah.
that sort of like, is this the Cubs year kind of stuff, right? So I'm
Yeah,
like,
because other people were doing that. Yeah.
So I was like, let me just give me some time, and I'll think of some other fun stuff we can do, like fun segments, fun whatever. Dude, I had nothing, right? no good ideas. And we were getting ready to go to spring training. It was like literally a Saturday. We were going on Monday, and I had no good ideas. And I told my wife that I was going to clean our garage before I left for Arizona. And so I'm cleaning up stuff, and I found like a whole box of unopened baseball cards. And I was like, yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to open up old packs of cards with players.
Were you a baseball card guy like when you were a kid? Did you
Yes.
did
Yeah.
you collect?
So-
So you already kind of had a love for it. A little
Yeah,
bit?
so me and my grandma actually collected baseball cards together, and so whenever she died, like quite a few years ago, so whenever people just find old boxes of cards and they would just give them to me, like, oh yeah, here, So I had all these old cards that are like late '80s, worth nothing, like no value, and I'm like, what do I do with these? And I'm like, oh, it'd be great to go, much like in that time they had the the Jerry Seinfeld like comedians and cars
Yeah.
thing, and this is before Hot Ones, so it's kind of like the same Hot Ones idea, but like like we're gonna open up a pack of cards and do an interview while we do it.
While you do it, yeah.
So we're like,
Speaking
hey,
of that, so I'm sorry to cut you off, but Izzy's been wanting to do a Hot Ones thing with me and Kenny since like the first day that we started working together, but Kenny doesn't want to do it because he can't handle the heat.
Yeah, I'm such a
come on,
puss.
right,
I'm
Izzy?
such a
Come
puss.
on. When it
Shoot,
comes
he's
to
been
heat,
wanting to eat hot wings. Maybe we could just go like to hot. We don't have to go above there, but we can just
Literally,
eat
if
wings.
it's anything over buffalo sauce, I will start sweating.
why don't you we live in Fresno or Clovis area? Why don't you do salsas? Instead of hot wings, keep it like
Yeah.
authentic. Local.
No, but it's funny if he's hurting.
All right, fine.
No, but do really hot salsas.
We've got a lot that we have to get to. Me
Yeah,
and Kenny got a lot of stuff for the next few years. He has to ride a bull.
I'm in
I
favor
gotta
of it.
fight. Like,
Do it.
we're gonna do all that. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, so back.
So
to
we
the
do the
card
baseball
show.
card show, and it's like we go around and I remember the first. I literally was just walking around spring training clubhouses holding a thing of baseball cards. Right, just hold a box of baseball cards. And Rajay Davis was the first person. He's like, "What are you doing with those baseball cards?" I was like, "Well, you want to open some with me?" And then that was the first episode right there. It was me and Rajay Davis opening baseball cards. And we did a few more of those, and they were cool. Like I didn't
And
really.
you're doing an interview while you're kind of doing it, or you're
Yeah.
just opening the cards and
We're-
just
we're-
kind of like a
we're-
reaction.
We're talking. It's a little bit of reaction. I try to like ask questions as like, hey, well, what was your favorite team growing up?
Mm.
And then we got that guy. He's on that team.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
kind of do it that way. And so we did a few of those, and I didn't really think of it like, oh, this is something we're gonna do. A bunch of. We just sort of did some, and then we ended up doing one with Bobby Bonilla, and Bobby we got the Bobby Bonilla Day. He gets his $1 million every year. Like the internet likes that, so let's do something with Bobby Bonilla.
It's a legit holiday nowadays.
Yes, yeah, right.
So
Like we could definitely do an episode
so
about
funny.
this, and so we're doing an episode with Bobby Bonilla, and up until then we had only done it with current players, right? Because you go around spring training, it's all current players.
Everybody's there. Yeah.
And we had found Bobby Bonilla, and he opened a pack. He's like, "Oh, I got traded for this guy," and I was like, "Oh, this is what we need to do. We need to do older players, right? We need to do people that were playing at this time, and then
Yeah.
they're going to be more apt to tell stories, much like we were talking about off camera. Current players, you don't get a lot from them because like they're kind of trained."
And their focus is on something
Yeah,
else.
they're-
They don't
they're
wanna-
just
like
gonna
when
kinda give
you're
you-
older now, you're kind of like that old person. You don't care about
Yeah,
what
you
you
don't care.
say,
You
and
don't
your
care.
career's over.
Yeah. So we started doing more of those, and then there was obviously a lot more opportunity to just like find, oh, Andre Dawson, yeah, what's up, man? Come and do this, and so we got A-Rod, and once we got A-Rod, that kind of just like opened it up, right? Because it's like you can go around and be like, oh, well, A-Rod did this show, will you do the show? And then so we did all kinds of great ones.
How many? Who do you remember? Who A-Rod opened? Like what cards were that
No.
A-Rod opened? Like what he
I
said.
don't remember the cards.
I would have loved
It's
it.
on YouTube if you want to go watch it.
Go on YouTube and find the Alex Rodriguez episode. But if he pulled his card, oh gosh,
We only
that
had
would be
one
his
person
favorite.
that ever got their own card. That was always the goal.
Who was it?
Who was it? It was I cannot remember. The guy who played for I thought he played for the Yankees. I'll remember.
That would be a great episode.
The best one
Yeah.
though is my favorite one. It was better than getting your own card.
It's good.
Pedro Martinez got his brother. He got Ramon.
I was gonna say if somebody got their dad.
Yeah. And so at the end of the show we'd make a trade, right? So based on like what you were excited about, I'd try to like, well, what I got to do to get your whatever. And I'm like, well, what do I got to trade you to get your brother?
Yeah.
And I had pulled like Lee Smith, right? Who I don't know if you guys know, you might know who Lee Smith is, but
I don't really know anybody.
an older closer guy. He's a like 80s type of closer guy. And Pedro Ramirez is like, no, Lee Smith. That's I'll trade you anything for Lee Smith. And I was like, well, what? Like, why do you like Lee Smith so much? And he tells this whole story about how he was a rookie and he sucked and like he was gonna get sent down. And like Lee Smith gave him this whole pep talk about like, whatever. And he's like, that just turned around everything around for me. Like, he's like, I love that man, and so that you kind of get like when you get those stories and sort of the bonds between athletes and those things you don't always see, and sometimes like, if you're interviewing Pedro Martinez, you're not going to be like, hey, what do you think about Lee Smith, that one, teammate you had back in 1991 or whatever. But
like
when you see his
when
baseball, you're like, oh, this reminds me of that time with this guy.
and it comes up naturally because
Yeah.
it's information that you wouldn't have known, that nobody else was known, and then
Yeah.
they just sparked up a memory.
So that was the beauty of the show, was that you would get, you'd find these moments that you otherwise might not have asked a player about, like, hey Kenny, what do you think about Terrell Suggs?
Yeah.
Like,
What do you think about Terrell Suggs, Kenny?
Don't worry about it.
Okay,
He just
so
got arrested.
there's another episode you guys can listen to. for
yeah,
that.
that's a whole episode. Right
But
there.
that was kind of the thing, and so I did all the other stuff too, but that was just a thing that we did throughout the year. And
I watched the Pete Rose one. It was
Pete
pretty
Rose
cool.
was great, man.
Yeah,
Some
it was
of the
pretty
best
cool.
episodes.
Yeah, I watched
Who are the top 5 guests that you have? I would say Alex and Pete Rose.
Well, I mean,
Pedro Martinez.
A-Rod in terms of fame, but not the greatest
His
episode.
was ass. No,
Yeah.
I bet his was ass.
Pedro's a great, like probably the top 5.
Yes.
Pedro's a great episode. Pete Rose a great episode. I actually really like the Manny Machado episode, just because like I think it came at a time where everybody thought he was a dick, and like he was super cool, man. Like he was super into it. You could tell he was having fun, and like it kind of drives home the idea that everybody. If you're a baseball player, at some point, even if you're the most sort of businessy kind of guy, once you're a star, you still kind of have that kid in you that like loved baseball as a kid. So you kind of saw that in him, where he was like having fun. He was talking about, stuff that happened in the minor leagues, and you can kind of tell it's just that like I'm a real person and I love what I do, and
Getting them kind of out of their shell
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not answering the normal baseball questions.
I'll tell you what, it is a breath of fresh air when somebody like asks you not a football question or a baseball question while you're like in it, because you're just like you're so like dialed into like your answers, your media training, right?
Yeah.
And people are just like, oh well, what about your woodworking? And I'm like, I'll talk to you forever about my woodworking, like
or something else that maybe you want to talk about that is maybe it's sports, but
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this guy, like, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to talk about that teammate that I want to
Yeah.
talk about or whatever.
not what happened on 3rd and 9 against the Rams. Like I don't want to talk about
Yeah,
that.
you're kind of trying to get away from it.
For
One
sure.
time, and another guy who probably has a reputation for kind of being not always the nicest guy to reporters, but Madison Bumgarner one time was just in a foul mood in the Giants locker room, and I had went up and like I was gonna try to talk to him, and he's like, I'm not talking to anybody today or whatever, right? And somehow he got wind of what I was doing, because I was doing a story about I think of Brandon Crawford or something, right? And he tracked me down. He's like, oh no, I want to talk to you about him. Like, I want to talk to you about my teammate that like I really respect or whatever.
Huh.
I don't want to talk to you about my performance, right? Like you don't want that. You don't want to be like, hey, what about the time you messed up?
Yeah.
But hey, I want to talk to you about this guy who I think, I love that teammate, right? So people will do that too. That's always nice. I felt like.
You mean
That's the easiest way to answer any questions. Just talk about
talk
somebody
about
else.
somebody else? Yeah. Miles
So
Sanders.
let's see, what did I say? A-Rod. Pete Rose, Pedro, Manny Machado. The Gary V one's really good, actually. As
Gary
luck
V?
would have it. Yeah,
You
today
did
we
Gary
shot
V?
from my Facebook memories. I know we shot the Gary V episode today, like 6 years ago.
Oh my God! How was his reaction? Was
Oh,
he just
dude,
so over the top?
he was
like,
so-
oh, baseball
he was
cards.
so into
You get
it.
these on eBay, baseball cards.
Well, what's funny is that he wanted to be on the show. Like they approached us.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a huge baseball card.
Yep.
Like,
Well, I think after
yard
that too,
sale
he
guy.
started to get back into like pushing cards. This is like right before like NFTs and around the time like all the crypto guys were
Yeah.
starting to get into
Yeah, yeah,
baseball
yeah.
cards. And so I think he saw that and he just kind of wanted to get into baseball. But he had great stories. We actually had to split it into 2 episodes because there was like so
It
much
was so
stuff.
long?
Yeah,
What was an average episode? It's like 10, 15
8
minutes.
to 6 to 8 minutes probably. We
So-
tried to cut it down. Just
Yeah.
to make
And then
stuff.
his, you just did 2 separate ones.
There's so much stuff.
Who did he pull? Do you remember?
There's this whole story about the guy who I don't remember his name, but he like literally called a friend about, it was some common player that at the time people thought was gonna be big, and he traded all of his whatever to get, like, he traded Gary Sheffield rookie cards to get this other guy, and he felt like he was like, oh, why did I waste my time on this guy? But when he saw that card, he's like, oh, this guy, and he had to call one of his friends from when he was a kid, and whatever. It's fun. It's
So he just got super excited about it.
yeah. And there's other things. He, all the Gary Vee stuff. We ended up talking about wrestling and like sort of all the, different things. So that one's good. I haven't watched a lot of these in a while, so I can't remember them
So
all.
we got Pete Rose, Pedro Martinez, Manny Machado, Gary V.
What's other one? What's another favorite for me?
Did you say another one, or is that 5?
No, that's 4.
So you did a lot of them. You were
Did a lot of
doing
them,
them,
yeah.
because
I mean-
the baseball season is long. You got a lot of games. You're in the locker rooms.
Oh, Randy Johnson. Randy Johnson was a
Ooh.
great one.
Ooh.
Because much like we were talking about, like, so I was pretty good friends with the Diamondbacks at PR at that point, and they'd sent me that bunch of people on the show. And they're like, Randy Johnson will do it, and I was like, you're joking, right? Because he has a reputation for just
not
like,
wanting to speak at all, right?
like not only not want to speak, but just being mean to reporters, and I was like, what are we doing? Like, am I setting myself up for whatever? And so we would do these. First of all, like Tyson will tell you, like baseball spring training starts pretty early, right? Like we would get there and we would shoot a lot of this stuff before. So we'd be like, hey, you got to get here at like 6:30 in the morning to come and shoot this stuff. So we're there, like literally Randy Johnson is the only person there when I walk in. There's nobody else there, and it's just me and him. And I have like this, I used to have this box of cards I carry with me. First thing he says is, I'm not opening all those cards. And I was like, okay, good. Like, this is going to be fun, right? And, dude, he was the nicest guy. Like, he was so cool. He stayed around. We filmed, like, 2 other episodes after. He stayed around and just watched. Like, he just watched us, and then he would talk to us afterwards, and it was amazing. And I think there's something to be said about, like, once you're not, and I think particularly as a pitcher, once you're not sort of in that mindset all the time of just being, I'm just a regular person now, that your mindset is different, right?
Because you're not asking about baseball. You're not asking about the pitching. You're just you're talking as a human.
I don't know, you can answer this for me, but I kind of feel like as a pitcher, you also have to have just a different, like combative sort of approach to like your job, right? Like, and if you're just sort of like, I haven't played baseball in 10 years, like now I'm just a regular guy, who you were back then is much different than who you are now. But I was just surprised because I'd never really seen him do anything like that. And dude, he had great stories, and it's also funny just me standing next to him because he's so much tall.
6'8".
Yeah, that was a really good episode too. Yeah,
I think he's closer to like 7 feet.
He's like 7 feet tall.
6'10",
yeah.
right? Like crazy. Yeah.
No, I mean because I've stood next to Kenny, and there's a big difference between standing next to Randy Johnson.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he looks a little taller too because he's skinny,
Yeah.
I'm jacked.
I wouldn't say
no
jacked, but
yes.
No.
If you're into any of this, we probably have talked quite a bit about this. But if you're into any of this stuff, there's a ton of them on YouTube. They're all on the Yahoo Sports YouTube page. And
yeah, Young Mike, a lot of good guests, a lot of good card pulling. So how did you kind of like talked about your kind of like creativity and where you can take certain things, and like a normal blog is like, okay, give me a second, let me find something that's like cool. Where do you think, like, have you kind of always been creative, or are you just one of those guys that has to find something different? Because even with like the Fresno Street Eats and how you've like taken that to what it is, and then Frez and the Taco Truck Throwdown, like where does that come from?
I feel like I need to always make it different and interesting for me, right? Or else I'm just gonna not be into it. So one of the things I think that appealed to me about journalism was like that it was different every day, and it's not just the same job, every single day. But then even in, covering baseball, like I wouldn't want to have the same story that, ESPN had or CBS had or whatever. Like I'd want ours to be different. And even if it's the same topic, right? Because a lot of people cover the same stuff, and it's like, hey, this thing, but can we take a different approach to it? Can we, like sort of look at it this way versus that way? And even if it's, maybe more straight up news, can we do it this way? Or like, can we make a topic more fun?
So you just saw the importance of being different. Like you saw what everybody else was doing. How can we make this different? And
just for my own sanity also too, because it's such a grind of, the news, especially at now, I'm sure it's the same, but then doing like online sports stuff from your house, because I would go to spring training, I'd go to the All-Star game, the World Series and all that stuff. But like in May, I'm just sitting at my house, right? And you're just watching things happen. And it's like, how do you at some point like make it more interesting for yourself? Because like you're just doing the same thing every day, waiting for breaking news or a trade or this game or that or something to happen. And, at some point, like you just have to kind of make it more interesting. So I try to be creative and make it more fun. And then same thing with Street Eats, right? Like, we can only do, hey, here's a thing with a bunch of food trucks. Yeah. So many times, but we have to kind of dress it up differently and have a different focus or something more creative.
How did the Fresno Street Eats come to be what it is now? Because you went from Yahoo. Yeah. And then started Fresno Street Eats just like out of the rim. Like
Street Eats existed when I was still at Yahoo. So I was doing, like when we started Taco Truck Throwdown, that was the first like sort of out of all the events I do, that was the first one. And we did that as like a B thing. So I was working at the Fresno Bee, and I just said, hey, let's make this a Fresno Bee event. And they said yes. And so when I left, I'm like, I'm gonna still keep doing this Taco Truck Throwdown, guys. Thanks. So I did that, and then I was working with Tioga because they were the sponsor of my radio show. So that's how we kind of started Fresh Fest. And so those were kind of my two things. I was doing those two things, and then I was doing all my journalism stuff. And then at some point I was like, you know what, I need to have like a bigger brand that's not just me, because at some point people are maybe not going to know who I am, much like the grandma joke, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, the name Mike Oz, that I'm not in the newspaper all the time, like people are going to forget who I am or whatever. So I need a different brand. Plus I needed I'm going to start a company, you know, behind this. So it's not just like, let's make this real. So I started the company. I built out sort of a team of people, and that's sort of what it was. But we would just do like one more event per month. So we do the themed events that you guys maybe have seen. Like we just had the mac and cheese event last week. So we would do stuff like that. Like, hey, it's once a month. We're doing a mac and cheese focus, and we bring in all these people to do mac and cheese events or mac and cheese dishes. And so that's all we were doing. We were doing that, and we had really good momentum on social. And then the pandemic hit, and it was like, man, this is going to sidetrack everything. So that's when we started going into more of like kind of daily stuff. And it was more built on the food trucks, finding them stuff to do. Because a lot of the places they went, you know, were not accepting, you know, anything right now. They're shut down. So it's like, where can we send these people? Because at that point they were like my friends. How can we keep your businesses going? So we kind of, you know, invented places. We found new places for them. So that's kind of how Street Eats came, became what it is today. And I was still just working at Yahoo doing my baseball job. And we got to a point where I think you guys both know Ray. Ray's our VP now, and he worked at the Fresno Grizzlies at the time. Baseball shut down. He gets furloughed. I was like, Ray, I need your help because I need.
Yeah, Ray was there when I was playing there. Yeah,
and I was like, you know, you don't have you're looking for something to do. I'm doing this, but I'm also doing baseball. I mean, you know, baseball writing. I'm a dad and all this, so I needed help. So I brought Ray on, and so we started to build the company that way. And then I got laid off, and then it was funny to like sort of think about it because the business was going pretty good, and you know, the way it worked for me when I got laid off was I got a meeting invite from like my boss's boss's boss, you know, like in the morning on like New York time. And they're like, oh, I never get meetings from these people. You know, you just get like a calendar invite or whatever. I was like, shit, I'm going to get laid off, right? Because why else would they do that? And so my wife and I sat there and we had like 2 hours just to sort of like be anxious about this and we just talked through it. And we're like, you know what? This is going good. We're just going to put all the eggs in this basket now.
So you started to plan it before the Yahoo thing even ended.
Yeah.
You were like, we can.
But it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, well, we had 2 hours there where we're like, all right, so we do this, you know, and sort of planning it out and
trying to come up with a quick plan B.
Yeah. I mean, luckily we had, you know, I was better. Like a lot of journalists get laid off, man. Like it happens quite a bit. I was probably in a better place than most to lose my job, right? Because I already kind of had a side hustle going. But it was also like looking at it and being like, well, what else? What's the other alternative? You know, in journalism, they were not hiring people full time anymore. They want contractors. They want young people they don't got to give health insurance to and 401ks and, you know, those kind of things. They want people that they can, you know, hey, you're going to be a contractor. No, it's like you're going to be a contractor for 6 months. And then maybe we'll renew your contract after that. And then maybe we'll renew your contract after that. And you're just kind of in this limbo.
Is that kind of how it goes now? Like you get a contract and then you work out that contract and you try to get a new one? Because
they don't want all the overhead of you know, everything that comes with full-time employment.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, you guys now, you're old enough. You understand, like, there's so much about, like, benefits and having kids and having health insurance. And
let me tell you, kids change some shit for you.
So, you know, we looked at that. And in those 2 hours, we're like, well, you know, should I go do my own thing or should I try to find some other job somewhere? And, I mean, you know, in the coming day, we kind of set into, like, well, we're going to keep doing Street Eats.
Yeah. And
I literally went that same day. I got laid off. It happened, right? We kind of laughed, like, what if they're not going to lay me off? We just already made the whole plan of what happens when I get laid off. What if they actually don't do that? What if they give me a promotion? And I'd already convinced myself, I don't want to work there anymore anyway, you know?
Yeah.
And so they laid me off, which is tough, man. You know, again, thinking like I had wanted to do this since I was in 6th grade. It was kind of like what I'd worked for, you know, all the stuff. And it's like, well, sorry, we don't need you anymore. I was gonna do something else, but immediately, like we had a meeting that day with Table Mountain about doing some stuff with them. I went out and bought a laptop because I didn't have a laptop. I had Yahoo's laptop, so I got to send that back to them, go buy a laptop, and like let's go. There was zero pause. There was nothing. We just, let's go. You know, I called up Bray. Hey, man, I'm going to that Table Mountain meeting with you now because I wasn't going to go before because I had to work. But now let's go. And it's just been nonstop since then. Just growth. And we got like 10 employees now and, you know, all kinds of partnerships and, you know, a lot of stuff we're really proud of. I mean, a great team and yeah, so it's been crazy.
Yeah, it seems like it happened quick and you were already on it where you just started working to kind of try to like, you know, cover up the you know, pain of just getting laid off. Like what else do you have to do type thing. But like as you go, were there moments that were a lot harder than you think? Because, you know, we talk about, you know, transitioning after sports and stuff, and like in the beginning it's easy. It's like what else do you have to do? It's fun being home, it's all this, and then there's things that you miss, or there's things that you at least for me thought that would be easy but then are a little bit more difficult. Did you ever have anything like that?
You know, I've never missed the writing part. You know, I don't miss the sort of like we were all driven through. Like I always feel like we're behind because we're on East Coast time, we're on West Coast time, and the whole world is East Coast. So I'd wake up every day feeling like
you were missing out.
I was missing out on stuff, and it's like, oh, I gotta go. Even if I didn't like work until like 9 o'clock, for instance, at 7 o'clock, I'm like, oh, what's going on Twitter? Like, what's, you know? And so I didn't miss any of that. I missed a lot of the people, you know, like the friends I had and stuff. But honestly, like, I don't miss baseball. I rarely. This is actually the first year that I've watched a couple games just randomly. That's not.
It's almost like a blessing. Then you actually got to do something that you love to do.
I think so. I mean, I think I probably did a good job of you know, maybe stuffing down some of the feelings and the, you know, the sadness and the depression or whatever. But it's like, well, what else can I do, right? Like you know, my wife has her own company too, so like, you know, it's not like we can just sit around and be like, oh, well, we'll figure something out.
Got to get to work.
Yeah, we got to get to work. So it's like, there's no waiting around. Let's go. And but yeah, that month, I mean, I don't know if this is a whole nother topic. But I don't know if you guys know about my sister, but then my sister got killed like 2 weeks later. So I was like, man, if I can make it through this month, like, I'm good, right? If I can make it through February 2021, like, nothing can stop me.
Because this was after the pandemic, right? So the whole 2020 weird season had
right after the weird season
happened. There was like really no fans. Like the World Series was in like Texas, and they had like a very limited fans or something like that in 2020, like and then 2021 came. We were trying to get back to normal spring training, normal sports, and then you get laid off right before that started, and then your sister passes away within that same month.
Yeah, not even she got killed. Like, she got hit by a hit and run driver. So it was a lot, right? But I just tried to like soldier through it in the way of like, if I can get through this, you know, I can get through all of it. And it's kind of been my marching orders for the last couple of years. So, you know, like, you gotta be strong. You gotta, you know, you got kids to worry about. You gotta set a good example. You gotta grind, right? Like,
so like, if you can get through that, you can get through anything.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was kind of the mentality that I had. I mean, my wife would tell you, you know, probably my wife might have a different perspective looking at me from the outside. And I feel like, you know, ultimately, like, I think a lot of the self-correctedness probably happened when I met you guys. Like, you know, I think getting into the gym probably helped me a lot of sort of like working out, anger and you know, those kind of things that probably were lingering from there. But yeah, man, I mean, it's tough to wrestle with that sometimes. And I'm sure you guys have your own sort of, you know, similar kind of things, but just like, hey, I've worked really hard on this, and like, it wasn't because I did a bad job. Like, I was good at what I did. But yeah, we just, you know, what they ended up doing was selling the company. So that was part of it. But yeah, we can have younger people, we can have contractors, whatever, you know, and it sucks, man. Like, it was rough. And it you know, I guess I felt like I was confident enough that, like, well, I know I'm good. Like, I know that I'm smart enough and whatever, and I can go do something else.
You'll be able to figure it out.
I'll figure it out.
And you had already started this and loved it. So now you're kind of like the man that's moving all the pieces around to make something.
Yeah. But it's tough. It's tough to have that big of a life change, you know, especially like when you're, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people now when they start businesses, they're starting businesses early. you know, I was like 40 something already, and I'm like, well, this is what I got to do now.
Well, you're doing damn good at it.
Yeah.
So, and then you had a radio show during this whole time. When did you start the?
I was at the B when I did the radio show.
So
We
you started
yeah.
Osmosis,
Yeah,
and you did that. What was like every Sunday
every Sunday night.
from when until just like a month ago, right? You did your last episode.
Couple months ago. Yeah, it's been probably 2 or 3 months maybe.
When did you start? What was your first episode? Or I guess episode.
2011, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, it was. Well, 2012.
I don't know.
I was
would-
looking at you like you know. I was trying to do the math in my head, but it was before I left the B. So then mostly the whole time I was at Yahoo. That was fun. I was always into music and stuff. So
Yeah.
definitely not like a whatever idea people have of radio. Like it's not that. Like you just go in and
Play music and
record your little parts and
yeah.
drop the songs in, and you know.
What'd you like better? Radio, opening cards with baseball players, or doing the Fresno Street Eats like Taco Truck
Oh.
Throwdown? Out of those three.
I mean, the baseball card thing meant so much to me in the sort of childhood me, you know, and like what it meant to me as a kid, and then also kind of what it meant to like the relationship I had with my grandma, who didn't, you know, she didn't live to see me do any of this kind of stuff. But like I know that, you know, it meant a lot in sort of like dream realized kind of way, but I'm probably more proud of Street Eats. I mean, just because, you know, and what we've built and sort of like
It's so huge, man. It's so big. Like
But
it's
I mean,
crazy.
it's like a marketplace almost, right?
Yeah.
Like there's all these businesses that depend on us. There's businesses that their entire business runs under what we do, and that's a lot of responsibility. But it's also, I mean, I'm proud of it. You know, to see
Hell yeah.
like these people that you know trust us with their dream, and then they are expanding and they're being successful, and they're like buying a house, or they're buying a second truck, or they're doing these things, and you know, hey, I don't got to work on weekends anymore, and I can go on a trip, you know,
Yeah.
because I make enough money on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when back in the day you could only make money on Friday, Saturday. But now, you know, we built like a whole economic model for them to like run their businesses on various days, and that's all really rewarding. And honestly, like, you know, my youngest kid, who is a character, shout out to Cole, but you know,
he's funny.
he is he's very much like, I'm the junior vice president and I'm gonna run Fresno Street East one day. And you know, just seeing like, you know, they had one.
Yeah, it's something that you're really proud of, and it's
Yeah,
something to be
yeah.
proud of, because
yeah,
it's got.
it's cool.
So it's speaking of the Taco Truck Throwdown, and Kenny and I were guests, right, on the Taco
Judges.
Truck Throwdown,
The
and
judges,
no,
yeah.
not guests, judges. We weren't
Judges.
guests. We kind of treated it as guests because we just hosed all the
Oh my
tacos, but we were judges, and we had this like, you know, like stick our chest out proud moment that we can eat so many tacos,
Mhm.
and we had probably like half of them were just like the thick, you know, like with the consomme and dipping and
Quesadilla.
everything,
Yeah.
a little bit too much, and we tried to eat every taco, 24 tacos.
Even though I told you not to.
Hey, I don't care. We tried. But
I
hey,
tried.
do you know, Mike Oz, that after, remember when we like took the picture and Kenny was nowhere to be found? Did you know that he was thrown up in the bathroom?
That's why he doesn't want to eat the hot wings.
No, it wasn't that. It was I just when I fill up too much, I just can't hold it down.
Something has to come out.
That was like
You're
third
probably not
time
the
I've-
first person who's barfed at Taco Truck Throwdown.
That
so
was
it's
probably
fine.
the third time I've
That's
ever like stuffed myself to being sick.
I was hurting.
Not even
I
the
didn't-
first person that year, right? People barf at Taco Truck.
Yeah,
Throwdown.
but they were barfing because they drank too much, not because they ate too much.
It was like you get the mouth waters, and I was like trying to just pound water, and then that was just like, nope.
Yeah,
we'll all remember that day now. So there you go.
I just want to know: are
We
we
still we
are we
did-
invited back?
I didn't invite you last time, so you.
You didn't? Are we invited
No,
ourselves?
Derek invited.
No, Derek invited us.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Mike goes, "Shit, those idiots."
It was Derek, huh?
I actually asked how Mexican you were. I was like, oh, I know his name's Perez. So,
You didn't think I was Mexican?
well, no, I was hoping you were like to balance him out.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah,
because you don't
yeah.
want the people going, "Hey, why you got
Yeah.
this friggin' wig daddy in
Yeah,
here
yeah,
eating these tacos? He don't know shit about tacos."
Yeah.
I do love
It was
these
okay.
tacos.
It worked
though.
out.
It did work out. All right, getting into the questions that everybody
Yeah,
loves, going
let's
into
go.
it. But you brought your own thing for us. You
What
want to do that
are we doing
first, or do you-
first?
I don't know. We're gonna leave it up to you. What do you want to
Let's
do
end.
first?
We'll do the questions. We'll end on my thing.
Okay. All right. So you guys know how this works. Mike Oz knows how this works because he actually listens to the episodes. So we changed them up a little bit. We didn't change all of them. No, I don't know. Maybe we did change them. Maybe we didn't. Mike's got to stay on your toes. So Kenny Wiggins, he judges 0 through 10. You got the scores?
I do.
Top 3, Dr. B, Isaiah, Marcus Walden.
Walden, yep.
So those are the top 3. What's the highest score? 8-6?
8-5.
8-5. Do you think you can get higher than 8-5?
I don't know.
All right,
tough.
depends.
It's a
Not very confident in their.
it's all dependent on
Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny,
So
right?
you can't answer the questions for you. You have to
Yeah,
answer the
yeah.
questions based on him.
But the speed aspect of it, you
it's an
have to
enigma.
whatever comes to your mind.
I'm pretty comfortable on like the I think the speed aspect.
yeah, you got it. All right.
It's more of
gonna-
if I'm going to
align
please the
with
judge.
align with my
Hey, Mark's a
my
smart.
thoughts.
Mike's a smart guy. He
Yeah,
knows how
yeah.
to. He knows how to do this. All right, I'm gonna read them as fast as I can. Reading's hard for me, so stick with it.
All right.
And you know how it works. Izzy, you got the time? Izzy's ready. Give me a countdown. Izzy, let's go.
1, 2, 3.
Favorite sports to watch live and in person?
Baseball.
Both?
Oh yeah, sorry, baseball. Yeah, for both.
Would you rather eat at a food truck or a restaurant?
Food truck.
Most famous contact in your phone.
A-Rod.
If you were a potato, how would you like to be cooked?
Fried.
3 things you're bringing with you on a deserted island.
My family. Cell phones from my family, and something that gives us internet connectivity.
Here's a big one. Best taco truck in the Central Valley.
This is the worst question. La Elegante, please. El Premio Mayor. I hope you didn't hear that.
Favorite TV show growing up.
Saved by the Bell.
Dinner with a famous sports star, dead or alive.
Michael Jordan.
If you were a stripper, what would your stripper name be?
Kenny already picked it. Magic Mike.
Who's the GOAT? Jordan or
Jordan.
LeBron?
I mean,
That's
didn't
it.
matter who the other answers were.
55
Ooh.
seconds. That's good time. Good time. So the speed was there.
Speed was
The
there.
speed was there.
All right,
Mr. Wiggins.
All right. I mean, it was solid. It was solid. Baseball. I mean, I would choose maybe golf, basketball, and football over watching baseball.
In person though,
In person, yeah.
I feel like a better NFL experience is on TV. Honestly,
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I feel like
I'll give
going
you
to
that.
going to a baseball game is fun.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the sort of Americana.
I'll
What
give
about
you
like
kind of thing.
you like watching baseball on TV?
I thought. Well, it was 2 different questions.
Kind of. Yeah.
Oh.
So okay,
Oh.
we'll just fix it here. Favorite one to watch
on-
live and
like-
favorite ones to watch on TV.
To go do live is a baseball game. Watch on TV is football.
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. There you go, Kenny.
See, I'm a live. I like basketball live. Depends on where you're sitting. But baseball, you can sit anywhere and have fun.
That's kind of what
That's
I.
true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, baseball's a
I'm
fun
with you.
experience.
I'm with you.
You know?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't think there's a better experience to good seats at an NBA game.
Yeah.
Because like it's just it's way better
Good
in
seats,
person
like-
than on TV.
Like good seats at an NFL game suck.
No.
I've never had good seats at a
Football-
basketball game, so I can't.
Football is way better on TV.
Mhm.
Basketball is way better live than on TV.
You know what's
in my
sneaky,
opinion.
sneaky, really fun live? Hockey.
Hockey. Yes.
Hockey is
Sneaky,
fun.
Hockey
really
is
fun
legit
live.
Hockey's
We,
fun.
we went to a Ducks game when I was down in LA, and we sat on the glass. It
Dude.
was sick.
Crazy.
It was so much fun.
crazy. All right, let's go.
All right,
Come on,
all right,
Wiggins.
all right,
Come on, Wiggins.
all
Let's go.
I'm just trying to play back. La Elegante, huh? Or what was it? Is that
Hey,
that's
Sneaky, he answered the question.
That is the only time I've ever answered that question
Ooh, La
in
Elegante.
a recorded
I'm
recorded
hungry.
segment.
I
I'm
know,
hungry.
I know. I try to.
It's gonna get me in trouble too. I know it.
No, it's not. We paid Mike $10,000 to say that.
All right, Mike. It's not. You're not in the 8s.
Ooh,
I'm going 7-2.
boo.
I would go
7-2.
higher. I'd give him a
I'd
higher
give
score.
I'd give me higher too.
I'd give him a higher score. Kenny doesn't know what he's doing. If you guys haven't figured that out yet, we just give him one job and one job only, and that's why he still kind of struggles with it. But To be fair,
Boo.
you got different questions. Kenny gets to see everybody else answer the same questions and then judge based on that.
It's fine.
But
I'm not gonna debate with him.
the score is the score. And
Yeah,
that's what
score's the score.
is, and it's
The judge
and
is the
it's-
Don't worry
judge.
about it. You
Yeah,
didn't
and
blow
you
my
can't
you
change
didn't
it
blow
after
my
that.
socks off with anything. Like it was just like, all right.
I blowed your socks off with the
Oh.
questions though, didn't I?
Yeah.
All right, Mike, your turn.
So
Let's go.
I needed a better TV show, probably.
Hit us
Yeah.
with what you got.
What I got?
What's up?
there's
No,
timer,
you just freaking sit back and listen to what he says. All right.
No, we just brought cards.
Ooh.
Wait, so we're gonna do this
Whatever
right
you guys
now?
wanna do. We got some 1990 football cards. The only football cards I have. We got some 1989 Fleer baseball and we
Football
got some
cards.
2004.
You want to do all of them or one
Whatever
of
you
them?
guys want to do. I don't know.
I'll do.
Okay, I'll do baseball.
I mean,
He'll
Kenny
do
could do
football.
I want to do a
right?
football.
Yeah, here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do
You
football.
guys can
Okay.
do whatever you want.
No,
Go for it.
I want to do a baseball. Wait,
are these?
so these are both baseballs?
19
Yeah, so this is
90s?
89.
1989,
This is
okay.
the year with the Billy Ripken fuckface card. I'm not sure if you know that, where he has fuckface written on the bottom of his bat. And it's a kind of famous error card.
Dang,
I've
I'm
never
not-
pulled one.
I'm not gonna know any players from there. I'm probably not gonna know any players from here. Mike, okay, you're
Go for
gonna
it.
know way more players than I know. That's just all there is to it. Okay,
So we always
Kenny
have to
first.
preference too. Like
Kenny,
how old were you in the?
1990. I was 2.
Oh yeah, he's gonna know all these people. Then I should get.
Okay, so
I'm not
you
gonna
do the
know.
episode
I'll say
with
this.
him and then you do
My
it with me.
well, we're not. I mean, we're just opening. Up,
Yeah,
right?
no, I
but-
want to be on the
Oh.
Mike Oz
Oh, okay,
credit card,
But
baseball
Oh
card.
will
my
say-
gosh, his credit card
my,
too.
my kid is open some of these, and he ends up getting like people that we know. So I'm hoping there's a lot of like stars. in
All right,
there.
we'll
All
do
right.
them at the same time so it doesn't take as long. Okay, so
We'll just focus on who you know.
come on.
I
Don't
also
know
can't
him.
see your
Some punter.
Yeah.
John. It's a good
Kenny
start.
would get a punter.
Keith Millard. Place kicker. Pete Stoyakovich.
Wait, you got a punter and a kicker?
Yep.
Jesus.
Jay Schroeder, quarterback for the Raiders.
Schrader.
Jay Schrader.
Yeah.
Kenny can't read.
No, his name's
Carl
pronounced
Banks. Merle Hogue.
Still struggling.
Willie
with the reading.
Anderson. I know that name. Thurman Thomas,
Thomas,
running
that's a
back.
star.
Let's go.
There you
Star.
go.
Felix Wright. Don't know. Ooh, DT. Derek Thomas.
There's a
John.
lot of
Hey,
cards.
John
man.
John
Taylor.
Taylor?
John Taylor lives out here somewhere.
Really?
I've been to his house.
Ooh, let's get him on the podcast.
Johnny
Niners.
Needs.
He also
Wilbur
drives
Marshall.
trucks, apparently.
David Fulcher. And another
They're
kicker.
open.
David Treadwell.
You got 2 kickers.
I got,
all right.
I got
All right,
punters
my
and
turn.
kickers.
Wiggins, you get that.
All right, go, go,
Tops.
Yeah.
2004, Major League Baseball. We only got 10 cards. In 2004, I was
Yeah,
14.
they said they kept giving you. They stopped
was
giving you less
14.
cards.
How do you open these things? Is there like a trick? Is it
Well, you
child-proof?
got to kind of go like.
Child-proof. Okay. All right. So the key is to keep them down and then pull them?
You got to like kind of go. But yeah.
Okay. First one. Where's the name? Damon Jackson.
Those ones are
Second
hard to
base.
read, yeah.
Let's see. Damon Moss. We're on a Damon train. David Ardosma.
That guy played a long time. Sorry,
Come
I got
on,
to get
give
on
me
the
something
mic.
good. Give me something good. Derek Lee. Derek Lee for the
For a couple
Cubs.
of years, he was
That's a good
one of the
one.
better home run hitters.
He
I
was
thought,
a st-
I thought you were talking about the.
D-Train.
Dontrell Willis. 2003 Rookie of the Year.
You know,
D-Train.
if
Remember
this
the
was
leg
if
kick?
this was old baseball cards, I would make you do the Dontrell leg kick.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll do it afterwards. Franklin German. I remember him. German. I think I played
Probably
with his
Herman.
son. Devontae German. Or Herman. No.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Jeff Devanin. That goes in this pocket.
The fun thing about this here is seeing if we get people from the Valley.
Michael
too, because there's
Cloutier.
A lot of them. Kadire.
Kadire.
Yeah.
I can't read. Hey, he's a good
No,
player. That's a good
that's
one.
pronunciation.
Mark Ellis.
Played for the A's for a while.
Aaron Hill. Visalia,
Visalia,
California.
right? Yeah, Visalia.
Aaron Hill. I know Aaron too.
That's a draft pick, like a first. It's like a first thing on it, so it's like his first Topps card.
Dang. So this one and the Dontrell Willis. So I've got way more money over here than Kenny Wiggins does because he only got kickers and punters.
This
All right.
second one is not good
Did my
either.
kid get all the good cards? He opened a pack and got like.
Bernie Kosar.
All right. I
There
want to
you
do
go.
one of these old ones.
Tom Rathman, my
Oh,
running.
there you go.
Tom Rathman, my running backs coach at San Francisco.
See, there we go. You
Tom
were a running
Rathman
back?
was your running
No,
backs
but
coach?
he was
All
the
right,
running
he's-
backs coach when I was there. So every
All right.
time he would,
You doing that
There
one
was
or
a-
am I doing that
I'm
one?
gonna do,
every time there was
Keep going, I'll
a
get
there was a play right in practice, he would scream, "Squeeze it!" like the ball, right?
Yeah.
Every single time, every play in practice, he would yell, "Squeeze it!" as loud as he could. It was.
We had a
hilarious.
coach like that. Morgan Ensberg would yell, "Catch the ball!" every time. It's like, you think I'm not trying to catch it? All right, Kenny, go ahead. Who do you got now?
That was my
All
second
right,
one. Yeah.
All right, so here this is
I'm gonna open one of these.
baseball
guys.
cards, 1989. Do you want to know how old I was? I wasn't born
Probably
yet.
not born.
I was
Yeah.
born in December of 1989.
I was alive.
I was
one.
maybe like a day old. Okay. All right, so we got,
Tom
I don't know
Rathman.
what that is. Jeffrey Leonard,
Oh, that guy.
Billy Buckner,
Oh, famous between the legs.
Bill Buckner, between the legs,
Kevin Elster.
Kevin Elster, shortstop,
He was around.
Doug Jones, Jeff Treadway, Dave Gallagher, Chris Spire. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Spear.
Yeah, Spire.
Spike Owen.
Good
What a
baseball name, Spike
Spike.
Owen. Good name.
Read this, Mike.
Ah, Greg Maddox.
Greg Maddox.
Let's go.
Let's go. That's a pool. That's going in the winners right there.
I'm opening this one too.
Bill Wegman,
All right, that's-
Chew Cleburne, Brian Harper, Mike Belichick, Belichichis, Pat Sharon, Dennis Rasmussen.
Bruce Masson.
How old were you? Kenny, how old were you older? How old are you?
I'm 88.
89.
I'm 88. I was born
When's his
88.
birthday? Ask what his birthday is. He just loves to say it.
88.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
You remember that.
Edgar Renteria.
Ooh, that's
that's
pretty
good.
good. Edgar Renteria is a good one.
Matt Morris. Luis Gonzalez.
He
I
was-
love
he was on the
Luis
show.
Gonzalez.
That's the one that hit the
Yeah.
game winner off
Yeah.
of Mariano Rivera?
Yep.
Alfonso Soriano.
Oh, he's pretty good for a minute.
Yep. Tory Hunter.
Oh, he's,
I got some. I got
He
some.
was on the show.
I got some hitters.
Toy Hunter.
The whole Florida Marlins, and the whole Twins, and the whole Phillies, and
That's
the
actually
whole Rays.
that's what sucks about these. That's why we didn't
You'll
use
get
these
some
on
of
the
those.
show a lot.
All right,
You get
Mike,
a lot of, no, you did.
Your turn.
Yeah.
All right.
Scott Shields.
Kenny can look
Scott
at these.
Shields, tops, 2004.
Although I don't know.
How
does-
many do you have of these, and why do you have so
Dude, I
many?
have so many cards. Matt Williams do anything for you?
Matt Williams. Yes.
Yeah.
He did the hot stove with me. Him and I were guests at the hot stove
Oh,
a few years ago. Me, him, Joe Musgrove, and Mark Gardner. Yeah. All right. Here we
Nothing
go.
else really good in there.
My turn. Devil Rays. Jeremy Gonzalez. Larry Bigby. Mark Loretta. Marcus Grisman. Right?
Marquise Grissom.
Yeah, Marquise Grissom. Reading is freaking difficult. He's good. Ken Harvey. Kevin Brown. Kenny Rogers. Kenny Lofton.
Ooh.
Oh, Kenny Lofton's
Kenny
good.
Lofton. Kenny Rogers. He pitched until he was, like 64 years old? Kenny Lofton, that's a pretty good one. Joe Nathan, the old closer for the
For the
Twins.
Giants too.
Jason Johnson.
Huh?
That one wasn't as good, but I got some winners here. I probably got like $15 worth of cards. What do you got? Wiggins?
You got maybe 15 cents worth of cards. But,
What are you talking about? I got Rookie of the Year, D Train. I got Greg Maddox. Greg Maddox, one of one
one
rookie
of the
card.
better pitchers of all time.
Yeah. What do you got over there, Wiggins?
We got Tom Rathman.
Hey, you also got Bernie Kosar,
Bernie Kosar. Derek Thomas. I mean,
Thurman Thomas.
Thurman Thomas. I got
Thomases.
some
Let's
guys.
go.
I got some guys.
Let's go.
Sweet.
All right. Mike, appreciate you joining us.
Good times.
Awesome.
Always fun to open cards,
Awesome.
right? It's
Always
always
fun.
it always makes you
Awesome.
excited.
Yeah.
Always fun. Always fun to be around Mike Oz. Follow Mike Oz Instagram. Also, Fresno Street Eats. Like, share, subscribe. Maybe we'll do some more taco truck giveaways, taco trucks parties. Until then,
Sparties.
Thank you guys for having me.
thank
Good
you.
times.
Hey, man.
Thank you for coming.
Anything for you, Mike.
I think actually this was for you guys.
Yeah.
I think
Anything for us, Mike.
It was for you. It was for you. All right, guys. See you later.
Bye.